Here's a comment by someone called America. I think it's a troll comment. They write, Zionist skank puppet. Abby Martin just made the fool sheep think they are wolves. And as Exposed Tyranny points out, you're a little confused, buddy. The only thing that is, or will be, a wolf is knowing the truth and then telling others. Then there will be no sheeple. And come on, man. Not everybody's a Zionist. And certainly not Abby Martin. And try to have a little respect for people. Nobody thinks twice about anything anyone says when they start talking like a foul-mouthed little 14-year-old. And what I'm thinking is that this isn't just a troll. This is an attempt at sabotage because her most recent video features some really strong anti-Zionist arguments. The guest is really good, and it's not so easy to dismiss him using the standard tricks. And a really good case is made. Maybe that's what this attempt is, to undermine her because she did an interview with an anti-Zionist. So to undermine that, they post this comment and lie about her.
And according to Israeli human rights group B'Tselem, 3 times as many people were killed in the West Bank in 2013 than the year prior. Why this uptick in violence there?
Well, in the absence of anything else, Israel has to maintain a certain level of violence in order to justify its existence. Peace is not on Israel's program at all. As we've seen, another round of peace talks has failed, as was expected. And Israel has no other plan. It doesn't want peace with the Palestinians. It is not willing to give up any piece of the land. In terms of, like I said, of Israeli thinking, it's all Israel, so it's not going to change. And if you're not going to solve the problem somehow, then the only way to justify the existence and its legitimacy is through maintaining the violence. In terms of Israeli thinking, there has to be a certain level of violence maintained all the time. And so Israel keeps maintaining that violence in order to justify its lack of willingness to make peace and then blaming it on the Palestinians.
Is this utter contempt for kind of the law and Palestine in general a reason also that it reneged on its promise to release all these prisoners? I mean, just yesterday, they reneged on its commitment to release another group of Palestinian prisoners tomorrow, which of course is just another deterrent of the peace process, I mean, ultimately.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I think the prisoners issue is an issue that is not talked about enough. Israel has thousands of political prisoners, Palestinian prisoners. The vast majority have never been charged with acts of violence. These are political prisoners, and Israel uses them very cynically and cruelly as a tool. I think all these things lead to the inevitable conclusion that Israel is the obstacle to peace, and the only way to overcome that would be to do what was done in South Africa and change the regime completely so that we have a real democracy where Israelis and Palestinians live together in peace.
So there's an example of an Abby Martin video where she talks about Israel's contempt for peace. Like I said, in this interview, in one of her most recent videos, she interviews the author of The General's Son, a guest that really exposes what Israel's doing. It's the very last thing a Zionist would want the American people to hear. Clearly, she's not a Zionist. America's comment was just stupid. Click here to see more. This guy had more interesting things to say.